Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we are taking a look at Kaldheim's Commander Precons and kind of just taking a look at them from a lot of different angles and talking about just them. If you watch this video, you should pretty much know what they are, know what to expect, and yeah, why don't we just jump right into this? We're also going to talk a little bit about the comparison between these and the Zendikar Rising ones, all of that and more. So let's break this all down. Starting off, let's go over with the really basics. There are two commander decks that are precons that come with Kaldheim. Like they are, instead of the Planeswalker decks, they are now commander decks. And they are normally, at least with the last two, have been based around themes from the set, which makes a lot of sense. These themes are the Elves in Golgari and Foretell / kind of Spirits in Azorius. So you have Elves and Foretell. So one is a lot more traditional, a tribal deck, and the other one is based around a new mechanic. And I think honestly that's a really great way to do this. You take something that, oh, I want a tribal deck, we got that. It's pretty basic, it's pretty simple. Or, ooh, I want to try the new mechanic, they also have that. So I think it makes a lot of sense to split it like that, where one is something a little more classic and one is something brand new. So yeah, let's break these down a little bit more. Starting off, I'm not going to be going over every card that is in here. I broke down all of the new cards in these decks in this video called All Commander Spoilers for Kaldheim. So I'm not going to be talking about every single new card that is in the Commander decks. I already did that, so you guys can check that out there. Additionally, let's go break down these from a monetary standpoint and just my thoughts in general. So let's break these down. Starting off, let's talk about the ALPS. So the price of the product is about $25.99, depending on where you get it. It may be more, it may be less. And the price of the singles as of recording is $72.80. Now, that is a pretty big increase. And of course, a lot of that is going to be the bulk. Even 15-cent commons can add up. And these prices are Card Kingdom, so you can probably find them cheaper on things like eBay, but in general, you are getting a decent value for your money, especially with the Elf deck. And then if we talk a little bit about the Foretell deck, you will notice that it is about the same. So it looks like they kind of had this like limit of monetary value, or they were aiming for a specific target, as both of these are really close to that like $78, $80 range. As with all things, this is not going to last. Obviously, if you could buy a $26 product and get $80 worth of stuff out of it and then go sell it for $80, everyone would do that. And so expect these prices to fall. Also, it probably will never fall under $26 because a lot of them are bulk commons that no one actually really wants, but technically have a price of around 15 cents. So yeah, pretty good. So let's go a little bit more and talk a little bit about the cards that I find really fascinating from this set. So first we have Cosmic Intervention, which I think is one of my favorite cards from this set of new cards. It's a 4-cost white instant, and it says, if a permanent you control would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, exile it instead. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and it has Foretell for 1 and a white. So yeah, I think this is a really awesome card. It is useful for things like, combo-y things. It is useful for just getting nice value. It can also be incredibly useful for just saving yourself against a board wipe. And I think it's such a versatile card and something that is so within White's color pie that it's nice to be able to see them do it kind of affordably, instant speed, and even with that Foretell, it adds a lot of bonus to it. So yeah, I think this card is going to be one that sees a lot of play even outside of these precons, and I think that's really great. I think taking the new cards that are put normally in the big commander precons and kind of spreading them out is really good. That way you don't really have shortages because there are so many awesome new cards, and I think this is one of the better ones from Kaldheim, but that is just my opinion. Next, we have Spectral Deluge. It's a 6-cost blue sorcery, and it says, return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. So this, to me, is a Cyclonic Rift mini, like a very mini. First off, it doesn't hit non-creature, non-land permanents. It does not hit or it does not hit non-creature permanents. I guess it does. It doesn't hit lands as well. It also doesn't bounce all creatures. It's based on your islands. It's also not instant speed. But I think the fact that it is asymmetrical is very powerful. And I think if you're in a group where Cyclonic Rift is just way over the power level, this is something that seems appropriately fair. Especially, it becomes very powerful when you add that Foretell on top of it. I mean, this could theoretically be a turn 3 board wipe, but because of how it's balanced, it will never be truly broken because you do need to have enough islands islands. So if you're running a mono blue deck, this seems like a really good inclusion in it. And if you're running, you know, even just a dual color deck, I think you can get away with doing this as well, because first off, it's not basic islands. So if you are running those more expensive lands like stocks and maybe even original duels, you may be able to do this. Although if you're running original duels, you may just want to stick with Cyclonic Rift. But I think that it is a very good board wipe. And yeah, it does get around things like the white card I just talked about because it's bouncing. And I think it's just generally pretty good. It's one of those weird cards where to foretell it, it actually costs less than to actually cast it. The disadvantage to foretelling is that the turn you exile it face down, you can't cast it. So you do have to wait a turn. But you can actually kind of count this as a 5-cost spell. Next, we have this card, which is kind of weird. So you'll notice that this card is kind of weird. So this, I'm not really going to talk much about the card, but this card is a theme booster exclusive, as you saw. You know, they are only found within the theme boosters, probably just in the blue and the 5-color one. But for some reason it is in here, so I thought that was worth noting, that if this is a card you're interested in, instead of having to go and buy the theme boosters, you can kind of just get one of these decks and you can get your hands on it. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing, so keep an eye out. There are some exclusive cards in here, and I thought I'd use Certain Elementalist to kind of point that out. Next, let's talk a little bit about reprints. I've just pulled some of the most valuable ones. We have Risk the Exiled, who's going at about $4, which, you know, having a $4 reprint in a $25 product is not bad, especially when there are, you know, 99 other cards in there. So I think that's pretty good. It's really good to see these legendary creatures kind of be reprinted, especially in a new frame that matches, you know, a modern frame. And also it just makes it much more accessible for any player who wants to maybe play Golgari Elves. This is also an alternate commander for the deck because it does have black in its cost. I don't know if I would necessarily use this as the commander, but it definitely could be if you really wanted it to. And similarly, in the other deck, we have Brago King Eternal, which is actually a highly played commander, and I was surprised it was so cheap, but it is now going to probably get even cheaper. It is going to get the updated frame, and yeah, it's going to be in this product. So if you were looking for like a Brago deck or a Risk the Exiled deck, maybe you pick up one of these, take that out, swap it for something, and now you have your commander. And so yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to talk about the two most important cards in here, Soul Ring and Arcane Signet. So these cards are almost must-includes, or they're not must-includes, like your deck isn't going to just die if you don't have them in it, but it is one of those things where if you have it, you might as well put it in for most decks. Like, I mean, if you're running a monocolorless deck, maybe not Arcane Signet here, but the fact that they are $2.50 and $3 and they are printed now with every set at common, like, it is pretty crazy how high the demand is for these. And when they were printed once a year in the Commander Precons, you'd see them slowly rise up, and then as soon as the Precons hit, they drop down and then slowly rise up. And it's really, really, really good to see that if they're printed, you know, every 3 months, then, you know, the price should stay pretty consistent, and hopefully we can get it down like below $1. That way it's very, very easy to include these in a deck because they are just so good and so iconic to the format. And that is pretty much it in terms of monetary value and just breaking down specific cards. I just want to talk about the decks as a whole. For me, I enjoyed playing the Foretell deck more than the Elf deck. It just, for me, I enjoy the new mechanics versus I've played Elf decks before. And so if you're looking for something brand new and super unique, I recommend trying the Foretell deck. But if you're looking for something a little more traditional, more tribal based, I really recommend the Elven Empire deck. Overall, they are pretty decent. And I feel like I had just as much fun playing with these as I did with the Zendikar Rising ones, and I think this is a good step towards the future of like having, you know, we got rid of Planeswalker decks in place of these, and we got rid of Planeswalker decks and replaced them with these, and I think that is ending up being a good thing. I want to know what you guys think about all of this in the comments down below. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date with more stuff, with everything MTG, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.